Okay, well, I've just gotten back from the Lone Ranger, and this has been a kind of a streak going here, where we've had movies where it's like, yeah, that type of reaction, where it can't be. This is probably even the worst of them when it comes to that, in that it's so hard to actually say how it is, and I'll explain why it is in this case. The Lone Ranger, it's bad for like the first 2/3, but the ending is exactly what you wanted. Like the last 15 minutes of this movie, that the last big action scene that goes on for a good 15 minutes is the movie you want. Like if you wanted to go see The Lone Ranger, you want to see a Lone Ranger movie, that last 15 minutes is like golden. It's exactly what you wanted from this. And so it's a really mixed feeling. It starts off okay. Uh, it actually follows very close, well, not super closely, to the original script, or to the original story. And I guess I should give a little background on this with my personal self. Growing up, I don't know how or why. Probably my grandparents, because my grandfather, in particular, is a huge Western fan, still is. We wound up getting we had a VHS of like the first episode of the Lone Ranger. I mean, it might have been like the first technically couple episodes, and I think it's like, maybe, is it 30 minutes total, if that? I'd have to. We still have it somewhere, and I have to dig it up. I should have dug it up beforehand and like watched it. I know it's not that long, but like the original Lone Ranger story where he becomes the Lone Ranger. So growing up, I was very familiar with the tale, especially back then when you had only like 12 movies on tape. I think at that point that was, we really did only have 12, at the max 20 VHSs. I don't think 20 is probably really stretching it. We had probably about 12 VHSs. So as a kid, especially when it's like either super hot or it's really, really cold, guess what? You didn't go outside to play. No. Especially if it's raining. Raining cold? Mm-mm. So we watched that a lot. I think eventually, as we got a little bit older, put it off the side. But the Lone Ranger, especially the original, actually is part of my childhood. It is one of those things I watched many, many times. So unlike, I guess, a lot of people, this is something I kind of do hold a little dear to my heart. And the plot was, from what I recall, like, I haven't seen the original episode in years. So don't have don't go, you lying. It's probably been at least a decade, if not longer, since I've seen it. But it follows the plot of he's a ranger. I don't. In this one, he's a prosecutor, and he joins the posse, and the posse makes him a lone ranger, a Texas Ranger, which is kind of weird because that's kind of a demotion. It's one of those, congratulations, we just demoted you somehow. Like, if anything, I would say he's the one able to deputize Rangers. But anyway, okay, you can't have him not be a Ranger. And of course, he goes out with his brother. I believe his brother was part of the original in there too, but I don't think his brother was. Like, his brother's supposed to be the Texas Ranger. He's like the Walker Texas Ranger of his day. And so there's like some tension there because he's the bookworm. He's got the high sense of justice and the sense of law, and there should be a court, and criminals should be prosecuted, all that type of stuff. And his brother's a more classic Western lawman. But they don't really, have a full-on tension, hating each other type. They're not together for that long in the film. Anyway, they go out looking for a bandit who's escaped from justice. That's your first action scene, is his escape. Armie Hammer's involved. You get a little bit of him not wanting to use firearms. You meet Tonto. We'll get into that. And they go out on a posse then to catch him. And by the way, the main villain throughout most of the film is played by William Fichtner, who, he's one of those actors, you've seen him in a lot of things, and when he plays fun, he is fun. And you've seen him. He was the bank manager in The Dark Knight, which is actually a take on a role he played in Heat. He's the commander in Armageddon. Um, what else has he been in, especially recently? Oh, how did I not? How did I forget to mention this? Of course, he was the accountant in Drive Angry. If you guys recall that one. If you haven't seen Drive Angry, go out and see that. But he was in Ultraviolet, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. He's been in a lot of things. If you see him, you'll recognize him. Actually, probably not. He really he's like scarred up in this one, but he plays an alright villain. Took me a little while to recognize him. Anyway, so they go out. Tonto's apparently trying to kill him, but not doing a very good job of it. And the posse goes out to try to kill him or to catch him. It's kind of what the Rangers wanted us to go out and kill him. Armie Hammer wants him to be taken back for fair trial, so he goes out to try to make sure they don't do that. And they get ambushed in a valley, just like they did in the original. I do remember that being a distinct thing, where they just kind of ride into a death trap that the outlaw set up for them. Lo and behold, Tonto finds the body, and I actually found that this was still early on to where the slapstick did not get overly done. To where the horse comes, and they kind of mentioned it earlier when, like, the horse, they say it's like a horse like that. It's he's between worlds. It's very spiritual. It's a special horse because they see him out in the distance, at least according to the Indians. And there's this funny scene where the horse is like Johnny Depp, of course, recognizes as he's signaling the spirit walkers is gonna come, and goes to Armie Hammer's corpse, and he's trying to lead him away, like, no, that's because he's met him before in the first scene where the villain escapes, and he basically got let escape because of some of the stupid stuff that Armie Hammer was doing, like refusing to use a gun and such. And he's leading him away. He's like, no, that's the stupid brother. You want this one. This is the right brother. He points him to the other corpse, and like, he's the good one. He actually can do stuff. The horse is like keeps on going back to the body, and he's just like, "You traveled very far. Are you sure you're not weary?" It's a fun little scene, and if they just kept it to little stuff like that, it is a funny movie. There are a lot of stuff I laughed at, but they do go way too far in a lot of it. I guess before getting into that, we'll talk about quickly Armie Hammer. He played it very campy. Like, his character is really committed to, like, for most of the movie, like, I'm not gonna do violence. He doesn't even really want to use the gun. He's really going into that stereotypical of basically what the Lone Ranger did back in the day, kind of very tongue-in-cheeky. To the point where he's trying to go back to a whore because he found a cat that she passively mentioned she lost, which lands him into a big ton of trouble. And again, this is one of those where if they had a little bit of that and they eventually let it go, I would have been okay, because especially with like this material, the Lone Ranger, I can appreciate that type of camp in that. But again, they do way too much of it. Like, I had a general, I was willing to take a lot of that for this movie. It would be part of the charm, really. But they just couldn't let themselves, they just couldn't stop themselves. That and the slapstick, which is basically all generated by Johnny Depp, to where his character is just way too, like, there's some funny stuff, and I did appreciate it. I did laugh at a lot of his stuff, but they just kept on doing it, and doing more of the slapstick humor. And this got a little bit like, okay, get on with the plot. Or at some points they were trying way too hard. Like, at one point, Johnny Depp is running around with a freaking bird cage for no reason on his head. Like, he put his head into a bird cage that he found in Helen Bonham Carter's room. Why? Like, they try to make mention, like, they do try to, like, put lampshades on this stuff. Like, why are you wearing a bird cage? He's like, I don't like cat. Like, no, stop it. And that's why it was really stretching it out there. And the fact that they really Army Hammer, he's wearing the mask for most of the film, which I guess we should give credit. If this thing was made in like the late, actually not even late, I was about to say late 90s, early 2000s. For most movies, it seems like they don't make the characters wear their iconic outfits. So at least here, he is basically wearing that mask from the moment after he gets brought out of the grave, which you see in the trailer. So I'll give him credit for that. And I also gotta give credit for something else, but I'll get into that in a sec. But the movie was really overly doing this stuff and dragging out the story. Like, he's not Army Hammer, the Lone Ranger, is not becoming the Lone Ranger. He's still basically being toyed around with Tonto for most of the movie. As he slowly kind of, it's more of a Tonto movie, really, when you think about it, until like the very end, where he's basically the Lone Ranger throughout most of the film is incompetent. Like, he's really surprised at points where he just puts his shield, like his first time he kind of encounters outlaws, puts up his ranger badge and shouts, surrender! And he's like kind of shocked that the outlaws just shoot at him. And you kind of get like where they're going for that, his kind of realizing that a character like basically being the first superhero type guy, vigilante, like, is needed. And that is basically the story of the Lone Ranger. Why does he operate? Is you need this person that's more of a symbol, that's not quite outside, not quite within the regular legal system, that's kind of beyond corruption, that only someone who's operating with the mask can really do, while still actually having some vague actual authority, because it's based on when the times it was written. Hell, I think in the original one he actually reveals himself to the DA and makes... That was like back in the 30s, that was like the thing that they made to make everything legit, was the superhero would tell his secret identity to DA, and there would be a secret agreement between the DA and the superhero. Which, that was their way of getting around the censors going, no, he's secretly working for the authorities, but he's able to do things that they can't. But they make an agreement, so therefore he's respectful to the overall authority. Yeah, it was the 30s. It was weird, but they didn't have that in here, which is alright. But that's where he's going, where he's learning this is what I have to do. I might actually have to use this violence. I'll have to use guns, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, because you're in the freaking Wild West in the 1860s. It's not like today. Back then, firearms were really necessary because there was stuff like coyotes, wolves, mountain lions, bears. Like, you would use and have a gun out there because the wildlife just might eat you. Not just the people. And just to survive. Like, if you're out in the woods, you might need a rifle so you can shoot a buffalo to cook the meat. And he's like refusing firearms totally. Again, I could get behind that in a modern movie or a more modern setting, but you're out in the Midwest, in Texas in the 1860s. Firearms are not at that point, it's not like today. They were necessary to survive. Like, okay, you want to make some sort of ethical statement by you refusing to use guns. That works fine with Batman, because he's in a modern-day city where he can just go to a supermarket and get his food. The squirrels on Wayne Manor are not going to eat him. Unless the Joker did something to them. Then he might. But you get my point there. So that really doesn't make as much sense. No. So Armie Hammer does an okay job. Like, it's more the scripting there, with him kind of being in that naive and incompetent manner, like, way too long. That's a scripting issue. That is a big part of the big problem, I think, is with this script is it's not a very complicated plot, and they really, really try to drag this sucker out. And I'm not sure who to blame for that, really. I have a feeling that's studio. I have a feeling this was an hour and a half movie that's all it needed to be. And the studio's like, no, we have new statistical data, because this is really getting bad with Hollywood, where executives are doing this number crunching stuff so much because they use it to protect their own ass, really. Because if they do something and the numbers told them it was the right thing to do, then they basically have shielded themselves, because everyone agreed, we'll just follow what the numbers say. So I almost wonder if the studio told, no, our statistics say that major blockbusters should run about 2.5 hours, because other major blockbusters normally run around that length. Which is ironic, because back in the day they wouldn't let you go over an hour and a half. Like, whoa, this is an hour and 31 minutes? You gotta cut a minute. I don't care if it's the main fight sequence, cut a minute. So that could be the case. It just really drags in the center, where you really want to see these characters progress. And you could really see, if they'd worked this out early, how they probably could have combined some scenes, dropped some scenes, to make an hour and a half long movie. And if this movie was an hour and a half long, I would have been okay with it. With most of the movie. Like I said before, I'm mostly at this point just talking about everything leading up to the last 15-20 minutes of this film. But because when he finally gets it, because it basically turns out, lo and behold, Tom Wilkinson is a bad guy. He's running the another Batman alumni there. See, Johnny Depp really should have been in Batman, because then this would have been like a big Batman reunion, minus the really good director. He plays Cole, who is he's the railroad tycoon, and of course he's evil and corrupt. It doesn't turn out like, for a little while you know he's gonna be the bad guy, even though the movie's trying to say he's probably not a bad guy. You're like, no. This is a Hollywood movie, and that is basically a corporate. This is a Western, and that guy owns and runs a railroad. There is no way in hell he is a good person. Most likely he is the cause of all the problems. And lo and behold, yes, he is. Anyway, he's you got damn. Oh, speaking of, since I mentioned Tom Wilkinson, another side villain kind of is Barry Pepper, who, he's another one of those guys. If you see him, you'll recognize him, but he's playing not Colonel Custard. His character is a little fun in there, but yeah, I was really getting ready to this I was getting ready while I was watching this film to have a battleship just rant. It was building up there. I'm like, this movie was really pushing me. And then the end scene started, and it kicks in when he shows up with the theme. Like, it plays that. And that's not the first time they played it in the movie. I'm going to go off on a little tangent here. They do start, like, the first music you hear in the movie is the Lone Ranger theme, and it's in a scene where him and Tonto are robbing a bank. And when that started, I'm like, oh, this is okay. They're actually using the classic music. Like, this is alright. And this is like a pet peeve that I hate with movies nowadays, is when there is a classic theme or a classic soundtrack to some sort of franchise, film, or adaptation, and they do not fucking use it. It drives me crazy. And I know what the root problem of that is. It's directors going, no, I want to make this my own. And I will give, in this case, Gore Verbinski. I can never pronounce his name. He's the same guy that did basically the Pirates movies. Yeah, he did the Pirates, Rango. So Johnny Depp's a lot with. He also did The Ring. Hasn't shown recently. And he did The Mexican. I found The Mexican to be okay. But anyway, you could tell Gore Verbinski wanted to make this. He used the clout that he got from doing the Pirates series. He was like, I'm doing the Lone Ranger. It's like, buy the rights, we're doing the Lone Ranger. And I give that passion that he had for the source material as the reason why the theme got used at the beginning and then at the end. When it starts, the theme plays with like maybe only like a couple 30-second pieces here or there where it drops off to play a little bit of music that's closely related, sounds like it easily transitions, like a quick little 30 seconds, and then goes back to playing the theme again. Normally kind of just lays off on the theme so it can then the Lone Ranger can do something crazy again and they can kick in the theme once more. It plays that theme for like 15, 20 minutes non-stop at the end. Because most modern movies, they don't use that. Even the new Superman, like, they don't, like, they tried, like, you heard little, if you paid real close attention to the soundtrack during Man of Steel, you heard little tidbits of the Williams score in there. Never the whole thing. And a lot of movies do that. Or, and I think this is sometimes even worse, is like they have the classic theme, but they don't play it until the credits go. And you're just like, really? Fucking now you're playing it? You're kind of... This should have been playing during the movie. Star Trek. The 2009 one. Perfect example right there. Like, they should have had that playing throughout the whole... The only movie that I think really got this right when it did that is Predators. Another movie where the director really loved the source material. And he literally, if you haven't seen Predators, one of the best films that not only that truly added to a franchise and felt natural to it. And part of the reason was because they kept the same soundtrack. Because the soundtrack works so well in the original Predator. They pretty much used the entire soundtrack, and it felt natural in the film, and it didn't feel like, hey, here's the theme. The famous theme. Okay, you heard it? Okay, throw that sucker in the trash. Now me as the new director will bring you what I like, so I can make this my own independent project. Yeah, none of that. Here they use it. They do kind of use it to like, oh, he's now the Lone Ranger stuff, but at least they used it at the beginning of the film, not even with opening credit type stuff. I mean, his intro, and at the end of the film, and they didn't just use it real quick. Like, at first I thought, like, oh, they're playing it. They're going to get rid of it in, like, a couple minutes. And, like, after a minute, aren't they? Oh, no, it's still playing. Oh, it's still playing. I was like, okay, you kind of got... With that theme. Because that's really when you want is just seeing the Lone Ranger do crazy-ass Western stunt stuff while that theme is playing. Him chasing a freaking train while it's going, and that's what he's doing, and it's fun in that last 15 and 20 minutes. That's the movie you want. As I'm sitting there watching this, I'm like, oh my god, the movie I paid to see finally showed up. And that's why it's really, really mixed, because you've got to go through a lot of crap to get to this little golden gem at the end. And I think for some people, like, I just got back from the 7 p.m. showing here, because we apparently, in New Jersey, of all places, midnight is way past our bedtimes. So we get our 7 p.m. showings. Whatever, so like, nobody has this out. Nobody's reviewed this, from what I've seen, outside of, like, paid reviewers, which I don't trust. And it's gonna be tough, because I can see a lot of people, like, they're just gonna have it boiled, and they won't, like, have the fun with the last 15 minutes. And be like, oh, thank God, it's here. Nope. I think a lot of it they're gonna carry that annoyance at the end. And at the end, I let all the slapstick go. I was having fun in that last 15 minutes. Like as soon as that theme kicks in, he's jumping like chasing. He's riding on the horse on a moving train while there's another moving train that they're chasing. Tonto's like throwing freaking rocks while somebody's shooting at him. They don't explain the lasso stuff either, like how he's suddenly using the lasso to like whip stuff, like pull around a Gatling gun that for some reason the soldier firing his Gatling gun. This isn't like a modern machine gun that maybe you could say somehow jam the trigger. Like a Gatling gun, you have to turn this huge ass crank the entire time. It takes some effort to do that, and this guy is getting his gun twirled all over the place, clearly not shooting at what he's supposed to shooting, but he's still twirling his hand on this thing, putting a lot of effort into making this thing fire. Which, that's the other thing. Okay, real quick to mention before I start wrapping this up again. They show him as not being very good with like the gun, not really being able to shoot, like just crap. And then all of a sudden he instantly becomes competent, getting into all these gun battles and stuff. And you're left kind of go, where did that happen? Like, this is when a trainee, they need to bring back the montage to explain this stuff to us. Not to explain it, but to at least buy it, because what a montage does is, in your mind, you insert the minimum amount of time you think would be necessary for someone to do that. Okay, I think they were out there for a week, non-stop training. Or some people will be like, I think he was out there for a whole day just training non-stop, preparing for this event. Because it doesn't have an established time period, sometimes, most of the times, the audience, you insert normally whatever minimum time you think is necessary for him to get up to speed. Yeah, it's like the Rocky montage. We don't really say how long he might have just been out there for like 3 weeks training. He might have been there for 3 months training for this fight. It's vague. That's why montages are useful. And at least we see the character established. He's getting better. He's building up these skill sets. But anyway, the last 15 minutes are a real blast. I enjoyed the last 15 minutes. If they'd cut out a lot of this stuff, the movie would have been faster, tighter. It would have been fun. I wouldn't have, because it happens, it's just in the middle. It just stales on you. Like, it doesn't have the strongest of openings, and then it just starts to drag and not go anywhere. And it doesn't quite become a Lone Ranger movie, and they're trying too hard for stuff. That stuff, if they just had 1 or 2 scenes for, you might have accepted, but they keep on pulling it out. And then the last 15 minutes come, and you're like, oh shit, it's the movie I paid to see! And so you're left with a real mix at the end, where if you just finally went, fuck it, this is the movie I wanted to see, I'm just going to pretend the past hour and a half didn't happen. It's a fun ride, that last 15 minutes. They've got the girls dangling off the train as it's driving by and stuff. Good stuff. Oh, and of course, really bad CGI with the cannibalistic jackrabbits. Like, they're possessed by the souls of velociraptors, these things. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, there's supposed to be like a spiritual theme that nature is out of balance because of the greed of the white man. And he actually shows it by he's like, Tonto's, as he's explaining this, is roasting a rabbit, and all these other rabbits come, and he takes a piece of meat, he throws it to the rabbits, and they start cannibalistically eating this thing. You're like, kind of like going, what the okay, that just happened. And it was with really bad CGI. Like, the rabbits are just bad CGI. Like, it's not good looking. Apparently that's what's wrong with the rabbits. They became CGI and they messed with their DNA somehow. This is what happens when you CGI creatures. They turn into velociraptors. Okay. Andre, I think you've got my basic point. It's a very mixed film. If you can withstand the first hour and a half, you'll have fun with the last 15 minutes. If you can't, you're gonna get. I could see a lot of people getting pissed off, and it's never like it's getting a little annoyed because it has that Pirates 3 problem. I don't know. We'll have to take a look and see how everyone else reacts to that. But it's very mixed bag for me. It has been mixed bag. Um, looking back on these past couple weeks, with it's been a very interesting movie going season thus far, because reviewing here real quick, you had White House Down, which is apparently nobody saw it. Bombed. World War Z, I did see Man of Steel. I liked it, but I did feel it was a little too long. That was all right. After Earth, no. Oh, there was the Iceman though. That was good. I liked the Iceman. Into Darkness was great. Prequel for Star Wars. Great Gatsby, meh. Iron Man 3, it's alright. It's not that bad. Like, very kind of get the feel in there. Oblivion was good. So I'm looking through my past reviews. Evil Dead I liked. Then you had, let's see, earlier on we had Olympus Has Fallen, which is now looking even better. And G.I. Joe Retaliation is really growing on me. I'm looking forward to getting the DVD. Hopefully they've got like all those cut stuff in there. But I'm digressing. Let's see, coming up. What do we have coming up soon? Pacific Rim, which is the big one I've been waiting for because it's something new. It's not based on something, which is something we need, and there has been a few of those this year. So let's see, let's see, July 1st. Oh, I'm in the wrong, sorry, gotta open my release dates folder. Well, not really folder, it's on Coming Soon.net. To open up the July schedule. So we've got The Lone Ranger and Despicable Me. It seems like a lot of people were going to Despicable Me, so that might actually win this. I wouldn't be surprised if that wins the weekend box office. But there was a good number of people in Lone Ranger too. We'll see. Let's see, July 5th, which is this weekend. I see nothing, just limited stuff. 3rd, Kevin Hare, 9 Coffee Town, 10. July 12th, then. So next big Grown Ups 2 and Pacific Rim. Yeah, so 12th is the Pacific Rim release date. That's the one I'm hoping for. Del Toro, do not fail me. And then after that, it's probably see Red 2. Wolverine. That's what we're. It's gonna start to wind down. Pacific Rim's the high point. So yeah, Pacific Rim, your chance to save this summer. Then we go into the eventually August, the Dog Days, and then September, which we're getting close. I haven't seen too many trailers for stuff coming out in September. Which I guess after Pacific Rim, like we're gonna be like, what else are they gonna show for trailer wise? Oh god, they had Battle of the Year 3D, which is a trailer that just went on forever. And I was like, I'm not seeing this movie, it's about breakdancing. Breakdancing competition mixed in with the most cliche sports stuff. Like, no. Horrible ideal. Yeah, not too much even in September. Anyway, that's it for me. I can't recommend it, but I'm not going to say not to see The Lone Ranger. Hopefully Pacific Rim's better next week. Signing off for now, guys. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, all that regular stuff that people on YouTube tend to say. And also trying to be all fourth wall and meta by pointing that out. So does that make me ultra meta? Or is that the new thing is to be ultra meta by pointing out the meta-ness of other people's meta? God, this is getting into hipster territory. I'm getting out of here. Signing off, guys.